Welcome to Flight, Destination Romance by Amy Anguish. We're glad you've joined us today. Please keep your hands and feet out of the aisle along with any baggage you might have. Keep your seatbelts buckled until the light goes off and get ready for Destination Romance.
And if you want to know what she's talking about my new book.
Yay!
So there are not actually any flights.
Then why did you make me do an airline person
because
thing?
Because you were so cute.
It was adorable. I loved it.
You wanted something fun for the intro. I gave you something fun. But it's actually a road trip. It's a road trip. So this is the beginning of my series.
Yay!
They've been egging me to write a series for how many years now? 3?
Yeah, at least.
So this is book 1 of the Road Trip Romance series. This is the one where you're going to meet all 3 of the girls, and then each girl will have her own book. And this book is about Katie and Camden, who she meets the very first night of their road trip. And this road trip includes New Orleans and Gulf Shores, Alabama, and Atlanta, Georgia, before she goes home to Memphis, Tennessee. So
awesome.
lots of different locations.
Yeah, lots of cool places.
Yes. I literally pulled out an atlas at one point. Yes, we still have a real life atlas in my house. And was trying to figure out where rest areas were. Because you just don't think about these things until you start writing about them taking a road trip and needing to stop somewhere.
True.
And you need to know where the rest areas are.
You
if you're
do
gonna
need
take
to
a
know
road
where
trip.
rest areas are, yes.
Yes.
Or at least good gas stations.
Yeah.
With,
Yes.
You know,
You gotta be
Exactly.
careful with some of those bathrooms.
Yeah. But since these are 3 girls who have just graduated from college, this is going to be their last road trip together. They've done several road trips throughout their college career, and Bree is about to get married in a month. And so this is sort of like a bachelorette fling that they're going to take this road trip together. And then...
But it's not Bree's story, right?
It's not Bree's story.
Okay.
It's Katie's story, but Bree and Sky are there because it's their last road trip together. And so the very first night, the plans change a little bit.
Okay.
Which is why on the cover it says destination, and then it has the fun marked out and has romance.
And isn't that the cutest?
It is so
I
cute.
love that.
I love it.
It's
love
so
it.
fun.
It's so cute.
It's so fun. Because it has New Orleans in the background.
I would pick that. If I didn't know anything about that book, I would grab it off the shelf and just
Really?
be like,
Yay!
yeah, it's so cute.
It catches your eye.
It does.
Okay. So I'm going to read you the opening scene and see what you think about how Katie and Camden meet. Watch out! Too late. Camden's badly hit volleyball careened out of the pool and smacked the very source of his distraction in the side of the head. A small oof escaped the perfectly shaped lips as the impact rocked her whole body. Her flip-flop clad foot slipped on the edge of the pool, and what had been totally embarrassing turned catastrophic. One of those moments that seemed to creep by in slow motion but take only a second at the same time. He dove 2 seconds too late. Her body smacked the water and sank. Pushing himself beneath the surface, he fumbled to get a grip on her as she fought against him, walloping his cheek and elbowing him in the ribs. He finally got enough of a hold on her that he could stand and lift both their heads back into the blessed oxygen. "Let go of me," she coughed and wiggled. "I was just trying to help." He shifted his hands as she continued squirming so much he was afraid he might drop her. "I wasn't drowning. I just lost my balance because some goon in the pool hit me with this ball." She brushed several waterlogged strands of brown curls out of her hazel eyes and blinked at him for a second. "You." Her short legs kicked harder. "I'm sorry my ball hit you. I wasn't aiming at you." He wasn't quite ready to relinquish her from his arms. "Well, you need to work on your aim." She pushed against his chest, but he had a feeling she didn't realize the pleasure she was giving him simply by putting her hands on his skin. "You caught a feisty one there, Cam," Ryan guffawed somewhere near the other side of the pool. "She might be too much fish. Throw her back." "Can you stop wiggling for a minute so I can make sure you're okay?" "Why? Are you a doctor or something?" She caught him with her elbow. I have a degree in physical therapy and am trained lifeguard, actually. She stilled. Oh, thank you. Now, I'm sorry my ball hit you and you fell in the pool. Are you sure you're all right? Fine, no thanks to you. She crossed her arms over her chest. It's not like this pool is that deep, and I know how to swim. You didn't even have to come over here. I guess the guilt of being partly responsible for you being here in the first place made me do it. Call it a hero complex or something. He shot her a grin many girls had swooned over in the past. She simply raised one eyebrow and pursed her perfectly shaped lips. Katie, are you okay? Another brunette girl leaned over the side of the pool. Who's the hot stud, Katie Bell? A blonde waved at him from behind the first girl. When his gaze returned to her, her cheeks were much pinker than they'd been before. Are you going to put me down or not? She wiggled again, kicking her legs so high that his hand slipped. Oof! She spluttered back to her feet in front of him, shooting him a glare that made him glad looks couldn't kill. Not what I meant. If you hadn't kicked like that, I could have put you down gracefully. He poked her shoulder. That one was all on you. If you'd left me alone in the first place, I wouldn't even be wet right now, she jabbed him back. I already apologized for that. Obviously, you're not gracious enough to forgive and move on. He crossed his arms. I'd love to move on, but you're standing in front of the steps. He glanced over his shoulder and fought back a grimace. So much for being helpful or needed. All he'd succeeded in was making things worse. He moved aside and gestured to the stairs as though presenting her with a brand new car like a game show host. So they obviously get off to a really great start.
It's a really
full
great
of
start.
romance all over the place.
So much romance right there.
I'm not even sure there's the fun. So did you have a set of friends that were like Bree and Katie and what's the other one?
Bree and Katie and Sky.
That you road tripped with regularly?
No. But I did go on one road trip. And it was spring break my freshman year. Two other girls. Freshman in college. Yes.
Okay.
And two other girls. And I planned this really weird road trip where we went and spent a few days with my friend who lived in Tallahassee, Florida. And then we turned around and drove from Tallahassee, Florida all the way up to Arkansas for a few days to stay with my family for the rest of spring break. And then we drove back to school in Tennessee. So go figure that out. A bunch of 18 and 19-year-olds are obviously great at planning road trips.
Any poolside mishaps?
There were no poolside mishaps. We did find some jellyfish on the beach. We did hit an opossum as we drove the car. I might have been the one who did that, but I'm not going to admit it fully. And then...
it's hazy, those details, right?
It's been a while. I've slept since then. We did flirt with some guys in a car driving next to us for a while. And we all wrote this really long, crazy letter to some guys back in college who one of them might have been the guy I was dating at the time.
Ooh.
Interesting.
So that was my road trip experience. And just one day, we were, my family and I were in the car and driving along, and for some reason I was thinking about that, and I thought, wouldn't it be funny if instead of just flirting with the guys in the car, what if they accidentally picked up some guys who followed them on their whole road trip? So,
but not in a creepy way.
Not in a creepy way.
Okay.
Like, they don't.
This doesn't turn dark.
There are no dark scenes except for the ones at night.
No, come and play.
I was going to say, is there some hollowed out trees they're going to hide
There's
in?
no hollowed out trees.
No.
But it was really fun to write this book, and I really enjoyed also writing the other two, one for Bree and one for Sky. Just getting to know the characters, because this is like new age or new adult romance, because they're between 18 and 25, which is something that I've not really done before. A lot of my characters in mid to late 20s, early 30s, so it's a little bit different, but.
And when does it come out?
It comes out June 14th.
Yay!
Yes, June 14th, and then they'll come out every 6 months.
Wow. Ooh, so we don't have to wait long.
You don't even have to wait a whole year.
Yeah.
Like every
Wow,
6
that's awesome.
months. Yeah.
I'm the slacker in this crew this
nah.
time. You know, you've got one every 6 months. You've got one coming out 9 months after this one. Mine's just standalone. There's no sequel there.
I had a whole bunch of standalones before
She did.
this.
This
That's
was
where I am
a
right
long
now.
time coming. This
Yes,
series.
yes. We worked on Amy to do a series as much as we worked on Erin to add in some romance.
So since she did a series and I did a romance,
And now she's done a
you're
standalone.
going to do
a
speculative.
historical.
No, nope. You're
She
right
is
into
though.
speculative. Yes, I know you are, but I
Do you want to trade?
no. But I want you to write a speculative book.
I actually have a partial one written,
Okay.
but
Alright.
it's not YA. It's a little younger than that.
So the book the first chapter is pretty quirky and
Mhm.
kind of funny. So did you make yourself laugh?
A few times. I think more as I like reread it than when I was in the moment. You sort of like read through it and go, I'm glad I wrote it that way. That's so good. You know, like
Yeah.
like sometimes you read things that you wrote and you're like,
Right.
man, that is awful. What was I thinking? But then sometimes you just catch that one line and it's just right.
Yeah.
And you know, it'll just catch you just right. And you're like, oh, I did a good job on that one.
Did you give yourself all the feels? I mean, did
All the feels.
yeah.
Yeah.
All the
Okay, good.
feels. This girl has some issues, as you can tell by her temper in the pool.
She just got hit with
I
a
mean,
ball
you know,
And
I'm
knocked
not
in the
with her.
pool.
She could have a concussion.
And then manhandled by the string.
Yeah,
guy.
I was not letting go of her. I wanted to be
There's
like,
some stuff going on.
I'm ready to like smack him. I'm like, dude, let
Or
her go.
just like
you know,
shove his head under the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, you should have done
Yeah,
that.
till the
man.
bubbles stop. No.
Okay, that went really dark. And
I
you
do
call me
not
dark.
write that kind of book. I don't write that kind of
I
book.
know you don't.
But it was also really fun letting them explore some of the different locations too. You know, they spend a couple of days in New Orleans, which I have explored New Orleans a little bit when I was in high school. So it was fun to like go back in my head, and I remember like Jackson Square and eating beignets and po' boys and stuff. And then the beach on the Gulf Coast is gorgeous. I love the Gulf Coast. So I had to throw in at least one day there, except then of course it rained. So they do some other fun stuff that day that we're going to do another video about later. So stay tuned. And then they end up in Atlanta, Georgia, which is where my husband grew up. So we have gone down to Atlanta and explored some, and they take in a Braves game because I had to throw in, she is a big baseball fan, but only if it's the Braves.
So are you a big baseball fan?
I am married to a big baseball fan.
Funny.
So I root for the Braves because he, and now he's raising our children to root for the Braves. And so we got to go to the stadium a few years ago and take in a game. So I got to share that experience in my book.
Yeah.
And she goes to Stone Mountain, which I have actually climbed Stone Mountain when I was in high school. I don't know if I could do it today. It's really steep. But so they climb Stone Mountain, and then they end up in Memphis where she lives, which I used to live in Memphis. So I got to include a few of my fun places there too. So that's the really fun part about the series is like I get to go in my imagination back to places that I've been before.
That's cool.
That is fun. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so remind us when it comes out again.
June 14th.
June 14th.
Yes.
And then you'll be able to get it for $1 cheaper on ebook for a little bit prior to that. So make sure that you go out and snag that and just share
Perfect beach read.
Yes. Ooh, yeah, perfect. So we going to the beach, okay? Yeah. We gotta go.
Let's go.
Ooh, we should.
We should.
Okay,
Yeah.
rabbit trail.
Retreat
Next.
next time. But anyway, go check out Amy's new book. We're all very excited about it. It sounds like so much fun.
Yes.
Well, and romance.
Fun and romance.
Fun and
Yes.
romance. Make sure you share it with everyone that you know, especially people who you think would really enjoy a fun
A road trip
beachy read, right?
Yeah.
And don't forget to share our videos, to like them, and subscribe to our channel. And we will see you guys next time.
Bye.